Hello friends, Reckless here. Today we're going to be going over the 3.19 patch notes. They released today, Tuesday, November 8th, and they should be going live tomorrow. So let's get into it. Virus's level requirement has been lowered to targeting 7 plus allies instead of 8. Pretty good, right? We've seen Virus in the meta breakdowns pretty consistently, so I think this will definitely increase his level of play. I don't even know if this was necessary, but they probably wanted Varus to see more play in lower leagues if you put a gun to my head on why they did that. Jinx's level 2 has been buffed. She now creates her first Super Mega Death Rocket on level up. Can't create another one that turn. So the funny thing is in Path of Champions, you have a power where you get a Super Mega Death Rocket when you're champion levels. And then combined with this, you will have 2 Super Mega Death Rockets in your hand if you level Jinx. In ranked play, I'm pretty pessimistic that this will actually have much impact, just because, like, Jinx is pretty far from playable, in my opinion. Maybe that's a little harsh, but yeah, I don't see it happening. Jax's level up requirement has been reduced from 15 plus damage to 12 plus damage. Pretty good. Kind of the same thing. We've seen a bit of Jax play, but with the tumble nerf coming up later on in the patch, this kind of makes more sense. Like, they just want Jax to actually do stuff. They say so in the little blurb thingy here. I think this is a fine buff. So it seems I was right on the money with this prediction, or I was in the right range. Basically, snip, 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 level 2 Gwen's ability drains a minimum of 2. I think the way the minimum is worded and is gonna work is that even if she's like stunned or removed, you still get the drain 2, much like level 1 Gwen when she resolves her ability. So I think this is fine. This is like not technically it's a buff, but like it's pretty minor. It's more just about like, you know, gameplay feel and, you know, not being as pissed off as often. Moving into champion nerfs, Seraphine's been massively wrecked, going from 6 plus new spells to 9 plus new spells. Nice. I think this will be a huge, like, nerf to Seraphine. Like, six new spells would happen more or less, like, pretty naturally throughout a game, but it took some deck building considerations. Not too many, but took a little. And now with 9, though, it's going to be way harder, so I think this is a fine nerf. I personally would have liked to seen her lose a toughness, since a 1/4 is just kind of hard to kill, but then that might make her like a little too weak to Demacia challenge, so it's kind of hard to say. Fan Club President also got a nerf, going from 4 mana to 5 mana. I'm actually kind of low on this, especially without her getting a stat increase. I'd have liked to have seen it go to a 2/3. The Fan Club President saw play and it blew a lot of people out, but I don't know. Maybe it was a fine card. It was strong. It more frustrated people because it was like kind of impossible to play around random 5 drops that cost 2, but I think this is a little overboard, personally. Tumble has been increased from 3 mana to 4 mana. This is going to have a very big impact on Vanye's win rate. This was probably needed for sure. I don't agree with the rally nerfs that are coming up later on in the patch, but something along this effect had to happen, in my opinion. Especially if they don't seem to want to touch Vayne's stat line for some reason. Also, they just tweaked Vayne. She reduces the cost of a tumble to 0 instead of by 3, just because, you know, now it costs 4. Lee Sin has been increased to needing 10 spells to level up. This isn't like a massive nerf. It is a nerf though. I definitely had a lot of games with Lee Sin Akshan where I actually kind of had to bend out of my way a few turns to get Lee to level. They were like, let's say 1 out of 10 times. 10 spells, definitely kind of an inevitability, usually in Lee Sin decks, but I think what this means is you're going to see less, like, super fast Lee Sin levels into a GG, right? There's just going to be probably 2 turns slower at least, 1 turn, 1 point something turns, which I think is fine. People hate playing against Lee Sin. I love playing Lee Sin because, you know, he's kind of mega bullshit, so yeah, I think this is a good nerf. Akshan's landmarks now each require an extra 1 to level up. I'm down. I'm down. Akshan's kind of messed up. Kind of a little overpushed. I think this is totally reasonable. I kind of would have liked to have seen the 3-3 for 3. That makes Warlord's Palace maybe get like fearsome or like some some type of micro buff, not like a fourth health. Fourth HP I think would have been way too much, because we've seen what 3/4s can do when they have value attached, and it's kind of fucked up. I forgot the name of the Vanguard and Scouts, but that was a 3/4. Holy jeez. Alright, thank god. They nerfed Swain down to 4 power from, sorry, down to 3 power from 4, so -1. And -1 power on his level 2, so he'll only have 4 power. It was just like the combination of Swain having a huge butt, hitting so hard, and having Overwhelm was like, it all added up to be like a little obscene. So I'm happy they made it slightly easier to stop this proc from happening. Good nerf. Good nerf, good fair nerf. He'll still be fine. He'll still do Swain stuff. Ionian Tellstones has been changed from Healing Potion and Homecoming to Gruesome Theater and Ritual of Renewal. Pretty big nerf, honestly. You know, having 2 mana heal 3 was very helpful with any deck running Ionian Tellstone. Gave you a lot of percent points against aggro. Though Ritual of Renewal still might be kind of annoying. And Gruesome Theater, recalling, you know, with 3 health or less, or 3 power for 2. Definitely worse than Homecoming, so big nerf, but probably necessary, truth be told. Simon Wind has been nerfed from Burst to Focus. I'm fine with this. This doesn't nerf, like, the card into unplayability or anything. It just makes it slightly less, good, right? Like, you can't focus to it, I guess, when the opponent open attacks on the end game, so then you can weasel out a quick chumpy, which I think is fine for like a renewable piece of card advantage that starts on turn 1. Like, that's fair. Ugh. Alright, so Relentless Pursuit doesn't grant +1/+1 anymore, it just rallies. And Golden Aegis costs 5 mana now. I do not like these. I don't like this buff. I mean, these nerfs. Let's just read their explanation. Demasia's 2 premier rally spells have been meta forces since Garen learned how to use a sword, with a wider card pool getting extra taxes acting as a strong force multiplier, occasionally ending games in a way that feels premature. Alongside the tumble change, we're looking to tone back the efficiency of free attacks as a whole. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I'm very pessimistic about the future of Demacia as a region with a win rate with effects like these going forward. Like, oh no. I remember when Relentless Pursuit was a 3 mana fast spell. Probably a little OP then, but eh. Yeah, I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Oh yeah, sorry, Tarek. Not a fan, but hey, it is what it is. Like, Scouts is still gonna do Scouts things. I guess this just makes it harder for mid-range or aggro decks to kind of do the like, for Scouts to just aggro curve you out and randomly kill you like on turn 5, but kind of what aggro decks should be able to do, in my opinion. Curse of the Tomb has been raised from 2 mana to 3 mana. Doesn't particularly have a good win rate, but they just said they want to preemptively make sure this doesn't take over the game, and I think that's fine. This isn't the thing is, this thing just like kind of works very unintuitively, so I don't even think it's good for the gamer player enjoyment for this to be like a good effect, like a tier 1 effect. Like, at least when Flurry of Fists was good, people could read it, understand how Double Strike works, and be like, okay. But the fact that Overwhelm has like a very weird interaction, like, not weird, non-intuitive, let's say, interaction with this is kind of silly. Saga Seeker's been nerfed from a 1/2 to a 1/1. I guess this is fine. Like, this card's still gonna be good, it's still gonna see play. There's gonna be some games where you do notice it, kind of like when they nerfed Wounded White Flame, or White Fury, or the 3 mana 2/4 that became a 2/3. But all in all, I don't think this actually changes much. It's just like a micro nerf, which, yeah, sure is fine. Alright, in my opinion, this is a pretty massive nerf. They've nerfed Ionian Hookmaster from a 1/1 to an 0/1. So what this means is, when you get all the 2 power weapons, it's just gonna be a 2-1 or a 2-2. So, like, quick attack's going to be a lot weaker. The overwhelm one, like, it's going to be real bad. But if you ever hit, what's it called? The 1-2 impact 1, it's just, like, such a really not great hit. You're still net doing 2 damage, but it's just, like, so awful in creature combat. I think this nerf was probably... This card did need to be nerfed. I actually was considering them kind of screwing around with how improvise works and actually nerfing some of the weapons so that it wasn't always like, oh, here are always great options. Like, as you picked good options, you'd get more bad options too. So I think I would have gone that route. I think -1 power is just a little too big. Alright, Papero the Great has been changed from create a Yordle to summon a Yordle, and grant other Yordle allies to grant all Yordles. +1/+0. Okay. Could be good. Like, summoning a Yordle, I assume you pick from a list like in Manifest, will probably go a long way to making this card viable, right? Because instead of just being a very bad Bandle City mare, this becomes like a 2-2 for 3 that puts probably some of the crappy Yordle into play. I'm assuming they're gonna like narrow the range so you can't hit Yordle Captain on turn 3. I guess Manifest already, right? Wait, no, Manifest doesn't have a cost restriction, does it? Alright, I hope this is closer to like the how Zoe works, right? Where it's a 0 to 3 cost hit. Could be fine. I don't know. I don't really care about Yordles. Like, it's not 2007 anymore. Oh, I do find this ironic though, where they're like, oh yeah, now that we have life balance tooling, it's struggled to find its footing and identity as a region. It's like, well, it never really had one. It just stole everything. Like, when you start off with such a general, broad, and kind of like stupid region identity, yeah, inevitably this will be a problem. Soul Scout, 3-man 2-2. When I'm summoning, grant me 1/1 for each Yordle ally you have. So this is kind of like crowd favorite, but in a 3-drop. Works well with what Yordles are doing. Honestly, even if you have 2 other Yordles in play, just being a 4/4 for 3, if you go 1-drop, 2-drop, and it has late game scalability, yeah, I think this could be good. And lastly, Yordle Newbie, 0/2 1-drop. When you summon another Yordle, give me 2 of this round. Kind of lower on this card. But it might be what you need if you want to try Yordle Tribal to kind of push you over the edge, right? Because you maybe want that density. Maybe I'll have to try Poppy Yordle Swarm at some point. Shatter's been buffed, going from 2 mana to 1 mana. Huge change, right? 50% reduction in cost. You want to cement Freljord into the region that does what it does best. With these changes, we're looking to position Frostbite as a more desirable tool for the region as a whole. It's also been a while since we buffed Frostbite, and we couldn't keep giving it the cold shoulder. You know, I'm not the biggest fan of all like the silly flavor texts they have in this, but I like these subtler puns. I think Shatter is like, no, I like the one Caught in the Cold. That's the frost spell I like a lot. This is fine. You play it in Frostbite decks, right? Because it's still 4 damage. This might even push. Yeah, probably won't push it into tier 2 viability, but you never know. Well, and Frostbite's probably still gonna have someone, right? But they don't really play Shatter. And Rhymefang Wolf is a 2/3 instead of a 3/2. Massive buff for it. Now it can just snipe off like tiny dinky units more often. Say, what's that 1/2 elusive that makes Hungry Owlbears Bandle Commando? Stuff like that, or the Fey Grandfather. There's a lot of, or like Crackshaw Corsair. I guess I already could do that, but it can do it more times. It can kill tutus. There's a lot of tutus, you know? It can kill Fan Club President now and not die. And without needing a Frostbite. So, I think this is a really good buff. Soul Scavenger is a 0/4 instead of a 1/3. Basically, blah blah blah. Big mana helps for all your late game decks. I don't know if like Feel the Rush would ever play this card. Yeah. Honestly, I'd rather see at some point I want Soul Scavenger to read on turn 6, reduce my cost by 1 or 2. So it's just like very blatantly play me after you play Trundle. Yeah, I guess like in theory being a 3/4 for 2 is kind of nuts, but it's just like those decks are never good. So no, I'm still on F to doubt. Hex Obliterator does 6 damage instead of 5 now, so 6 mana, 6 damage if we die Obliterated instead. I'm fine with this. Removal, killing things is good. That it not costing, and it like removal in this game is already inefficient mana-wise, so just making it slightly more reasonable is fine by me. Celestial Impact, 7 mana, slow, obliterate a unit or landmark, heal your Nexus 3. The heal 3 is the buff. They did not wanna, well, I guess it's like bandwagon off this. Yeah, they couldn't really make this 6, right? Because then I think it would start getting a little too efficient, like when you compare it to Vengeance or stuff like that. But and the nice little heal 3 is a good little mail-in rebate. Raven Bloom Conservatory has been reduced to countdown 11 from 12. Partially reverting the 3.13 nerf. I'm down. I don't know. I personally didn't think it deserved a nerf initially anyways, so I think bringing it down's fine. Also, if this is good, right? Like, if just putting Tibalt into, like, oh no, Tibalt's like good for Runeterra. I'm fine. Like, I'd rather stuff like Tibalt could be good in tier 1 and is what is pushed in like high ranked play than, I don't know, silly bullshit like Lee Sin stuff. Oh wow, Lord Broadmane is a 3/5 but from a 2/4. +1/+1's actually kind of relevant. I played a bit of this card in a few decks. That meme Jin deck that like baited people, part of the bait lineup. And oh wait, no, I don't think I played it in the Ravenbloom catalog of secrets infinite removal deck, but yeah, I don't know. Maybe this might see a little more play. I kind of doubt it. If they went -1 mana, that probably would have been, you know, a much stronger change and kept it a 2/4, but then it might have been, I don't know. This stuff is kind of dangerous. Sign-in's back up to a 3/5 from a 3/3. Okay, I'm sure, whatever, right? Like, I actually don't think this matters too much. Well, I guess with them nerfing other Ionia stuff, like, it'll probably come back into play. Yeah, I guess if the nerfs didn't happen. I'm just I'm a little pessimistic on this, just because I don't think the decks that Sign-in was good in are really good anymore. And I don't think the -2 health is what made those decks bad, right? Like, Kennen getting nerfed is what made them bad. Whoa, whoa, whoa. So, Laurent Duelist went from a 3 mana 4/2 that play Grand Challenger to an ally unit in play is now a 2/2 for 2, grant an ally in hand Challenger. With the nerfs to Demacia's Rally cards, you want to make sure the region still maintains its appeal. We're buffing Duelist to give back Lowland to Demacia's other strengths. I guess this is fine. I do wonder what's better, in play or in hand. I think, like, this is a worse top deck, but it's a nice turn 2 play, right? Because then you start playing turn 3 champions or big units further on that make a lot better use of this. Like, giving Wounded White Flame challenges is kind of interesting. Even just things like Pantheon, Poppy. 2/2 though is like a really weak stat line for a Demacian 2-drop though. It's like a little below average, so I don't know. I'm sure there's like a few ways you can go about this, but I really don't like the time specificness of this. Also, this can make like awkward hands even more awkward, where you're like, oh, I drew a lot of like say you're playing Zed Lulu and you have this, and even though I don't think it'd be a great fit in that deck, but just hypothetically, right? Sometimes in those decks you run a lot of cantrips, and then so it's like you have a cantrip heavy hand, draw this, and you have no unit, then you're like, oh great, my 2-drop doesn't do anything. And then when you finally draw a unit, you want to play like a Zed or Vayne. I know it went from Zed Lulu to Vayne, but whatever. You're like, oh, well, I want to put off playing that champion to play this stupid duelist first to buff it, to give a challenger, and then I play it. So, I don't know. I really wish they gave it in hand or in play. That might be a little messed up, but whatever. Ibaros has gone from a 0-0 to a 1-1. While silence should be an effective tool against a card like Ibaros, killing the Darken outright was too harsh. With a 1-1 base, will be at least left partially standing post silence. Plus, we think making him a 30-30 instead of a 29-29 is just what he needs to push him over the top. Sure. I don't give a fuck. Safety Inspector, 6 mana, 6/6, and now it's a 5 mana, 5/5. Yordle, create a Inspection Pass in hand. After the changes to landmark destruction in the last patch, we thought it was safe to shift a little extra power to this underutilized Inspector. Okay, buddy. Escaped Abomination is now a 3/3. Interesting. So back in the day, it used to be a 4/3, but Thrush Gnosis as a deck was a little too good, so they nerfed this. But the problem with 4/2s is they trade with everything, more or less. Now, with 3 health again, harder to trade, harder to just arbitrarily kill. Downside, missing 4 power. With 8 spikes revert, we wanted to give a little more reason for Shadow All Slay decks to return to this card. After all, she does love visitors. Bone Club. Alright, so it's 5 mana plus 4, and now it does +5/+5. Bone Club, big club. Me makes club bigger. Bigger club, hit. Hurt more, good. Okay. I don't think this card will see ranked play. I guess, I don't even know if this is in the Orin deck in Path of Champions. I guess when I randomly generate this off a power, that it'll be nicer. Moving on. Shadowblade Fantastic is now a 3/3 instead of a 3/2. Sure. Actually, this is kind of big. Mostly the 3rd toughness, right, as we were saying, with Escape the Abomination, makes it easier to, trade or block, two powered units. But, yeah, now this is a lot more durable, it can block in combat more, and you get some value off of it. Quick Attack is still, a great keyword. This card didn't see much play, outside of Kane. I'm not sure it'll see any extra play, but I don't know, like 3/3s that make value, or have good keywords, tend to see some play, so... yeah, this might push it into playability. Ranked playability. Wrathful Rider has 8 power from 7. I think that's sure. I don't... I'm down, right? Like, if you just think of this as like a conditional removal spell, right? Which really is what Wrathful Rider is. Yeah, just giving it that extra power to make sure it's actually murdering what it's trying to kill. Seems good. Gorlith is a 0/12 from a 0/10. So Gorlith is, I have to read this card, tough, formidable. When I'm summoned, swap my health and our Nexus's health. And your Nexus's health. I can't be blocked by enemies with less health than me. Sure. Gorlith Scourger hasn't scaled as well with the modern power level of the game, so we're giving him a bit more ability to have impact when he lands. I feel they left some puns on the table. I don't think this card was playable when it was released, so I'm not a fan of them scapegoating. Oh yeah, power level increases why this doesn't see play. I don't think this matters. Whoa. Dusk Rider is going from a 3/5 for 5 to a 3/4 for 4. Dusk Rider should be a cool finisher for Nightfall decks, but its high cost has put people to sleep. There we go. Now we're getting the puns, the short puns. Honestly, I still think the majority of this card's play is going to be from Unspeakable Horror, and I'm fine with that. If if the three Nightfall players that exist, you know, if one of them decides that this is worth playing as one of now, sure. I don't think this is very relevant overall, though. Reaver's Row is now 4 mana from 5, and it is a landmark. When I count down, summon a random 1-cost follower. Countdown 2, grant 1-cost allies 2/1 and fearsome. When you're building a deck around 1-drops, dropping 1 turn early can be critical. True, true. I've never played with this card. I've never seen it played, so I have nothing to add. This card's kind of jank, and it'll probably still be jank. Spirits Unleashed. Change +1/+1 now granted to allies everywhere? This is interesting now, right? Because there's the 5/5 for 5. I guess it's a 6/6 now, or a 5/6. That pluses your allies everywhere. And yeah, I, again, don't think this is gonna make people put Spirits Unleashed in their deck unless they're gigantic memers or playing that mono Fizz deck that was flashing Freljord and has funny buffs, but yeah, sure. Very real upgrade. Maybe one day we'll get that Udyr deck, but the fact they kind of soft-nerfed Akshan hurts too. Rot Colossus. Create a copies now cost 4. First time I'm equipped, create a 4-cost copy in hand granted the equipment stats. What did it cost before? Oh, it probably was 8 if you put a gun to my head. Yeah, I don't think this is happening. Orin is like barely viable and is like super juiced. Maybe I'm wrong, but this isn't super relevant. Yeah, especially like come on, you're playing an 8/8 Overwhelm. It's gonna have an equipment. Like, the game should be over. I guess this is just like that nice little extra. This is like Freljord's Commander Farron. Darken Ballista, no self-damage, so this is now just 1 mana +2/+1. While the health cost on this Darken was a unique mechanic and thematically awesome! Exclamation point. It was also not really justified by the strength of the card. Now that we understand better how equipment plays, we feel like the Ballista can come without a drawback. Sure, this is fine. I don't know if this sees play. Maybe. It's possible, right? Equipments are good. Cheap equipments are good. This probably will, actually. This probably will see some play now. Atlas Ancient. Change costs 2 less for each recalled unit this round. Alright, so it's 4 mana for a 4/3. And if you recall 2 units, you can play it for 0. Now this is interesting. This is approaching Claws of the Dragon territory, the 3/2 for 2 that if flow put into play. This actually might see play in Ahri. In an Ahri recall deck or Yasuo recall deck, maybe. Not totally sure. Not wouldn't give great odds of it happening, but now it's possible. Now this is actually like a card to think about that could be real. Especially if like if you think about it, recall decks are kind of dirtly, right? And they're typically trading tempo and mana to recall their own stuff. So being able to get like a nice rebate on that is good. Also, just realized it's stuff you recall, so like Homecoming makes this cost 0. Unfortunately, not part of Ionian Telstones anymore. Bouncing one of your things and then bouncing one of your opponent's things. Same thing, right? Makes it cost 0. So this is actually kind of big, personally. I think this is like a very potentially relevant. Void Seeker deals 1 damage to a follower. If you evolve, deal 3 for 1 mana slow. Can now hit champions after you've evolved. Sure. Sure, this card might be playable. I don't know. I don't know what Kaisa decks look like right now. I don't know if they exist. I don't know if this is a card that people maybe just play normally. Because I think you can evolve without having evolved units. I'm not super sure. If you can, that's big. So this could be interesting. The problem, though, I think, is, like, why it might not see play is typically the evolved decks, the best evolved decks wanted to evolve very quickly. In order to evolve quickly, you have to fill your entire bloody deck with things with keywords and, you know, units with 2 keywords. So it's very hard to wiggle in Void Seeker into something like that. That's what I would say is kind of the thing that would hold us back. Alright, Vandal Tellstones, they removed Keeper's Verdict and added Electro Harpoon. Keeper's Verdict is the place an enemy unit on top of the deck for 6 mana. Electro Harpoon, to play discard a card, do 2 to a unit and 2 to the enemy nexus. Potentially pretty big. The Vandal Tellstones were playing too slowly for a region that prefers to stay aggressive and low to the ground. I don't know, does it? I thought it doesn't have an identity. So we're switching out this slow removal spell for a more aggressive one for sure. So yeah, between Electro Harpoon and Heroic Refrain, that's actually some very good aggro spells for Yordle's Swarm. So definitely something to keep an eye out for, especially with Yordles being very good at creating cards. So very big buff for this. And that is it seems. We just got some arts. We got some bug fixes, so overall, very impactful set of patch notes. The Seraphine one, in my opinion, being the biggest. And yeah, Fan Club President and the Tumble nerf, very huge. Also seeing rally spells get nerfed is kind of feels bad. And this 1/1 is relevant, like... Back in my day, back when Lulu Zed was a high tier deck, I was playing Relentless Pursuit over Golden Aegis because the 1/1 actually mattered a lot. Like, because you have elusive units, you actually got really good value out of that +1/+1. So losing it's a thing. But yeah, I like these. I like this overall. You know, I do like the fact that they are changing a lot of cards. They're trying to essentially redesign cards that have no play. I think that's great. And yeah, so if you enjoyed that breakdown, you know, and you want more card game goodness, consider liking and subscribing to the channel. Play a lot of Runeterra, Path of Champions, and we're doing some more Magic the Gathering. We'll try out Marvel Snap soonish, and see you next time.